a stream. Why not? Why not? Why not? What happens if you close that? And what happens if you do? I have like so many things to do. All right, let's see. Hello. All right, see you later, Christine. So this is, I've been working on iPhone 10s today, and I thought, hey, let's do one together. So I have been making some short videos that I'd like to edit to show you guys how to work on the iPhone 10, and then I came across this one that I've been working on. So my goal for today was to see what happens if you mismatch on purpose one top main board with a different bottom RF board. And this one here I tried with one of the other ones that I had that I know is good, and it just went straight to recovery mode. So I was in the middle of downloading all of the IPSWs when I decided to take a look to see what is actually wrong with the bottom board. So here's this one as it is right now. So this is put together in the eye socket. So I've got the top board separated from the main board, and it is, in theory, if this was working, it would boot. So we can use this little contraption in the same way that it basically enables us to treat this split board as if it were one regular board, regular old iPhone, which means that we can use our conventional tools like DC power supply. So let's take a look up here at DC power supply. So today I'm using this DC power supply, and I have a battery voltage of 3.9 volts, and I have this connected to an iPad Rehab Squid that has the iPhone 8 and iPhone 8 Plus and 10 connector. So let's go ahead and see what happens when we apply battery power to this board. So let's see. There we go. Boom. So we can see current consumption before prompted boot. That's not good. So this looks like, this is the first one I've seen, this looks like the equivalent of what's most certainly going to be a VCC main short in the iPhone 10. So who knew that the iPhone 10 was going to get VCC main shorts? I didn't see that coming. So let's go ahead and split this board apart. So we're just going to take it out of this little eye socket and split it back apart. Now what's great about the split board, although quite the pain to work on for the most part, we really have just cut our problem in half. So if we do have a VCC main short, it's either going to be, it's going to be on the top board or it's going to be on the bottom board. So let's see if we can figure that out. So let's go ahead and take a look at the top board and see if we see any signs of damage. All right, I think history was water damage. Yes, the history on this one was definitely water damage. All right, so I've already put it through Ultrasonic, and I kind of have an idea here, which made me want to do this on stream. But as we look around, I had to take this shield off here, and I had to take off that shield. But as we look around, we don't see a whole lot of corrosion. In fact, there was only like maybe a little bit of a speck of corrosion kind of right around there on this top side of the board. So I don't see nothing. All right, and then if we flip it over and look at the opposite side, we can see, hey, what's up? Hello. Are you going to be here for a while so I can look at your problem child?
That would be terrific.
Okay, you can, I'm going to do this stream.
Okay.
It probably won't take too long.
Yep, I'm just getting back into stuff from vacation too. So.
Okay, great. How was your trip?
Very nice.
Very nice. So was mine. Not fun to be back, to be sure. All right, so I don't see any kind of liquid damage on the top half of the board. And then let's look at the bottom half of the board. And on the bottom half of the board, You can see a little bit of crud from the thermal paste that I washed off mostly with ultrasonic, but there's really not any corrosion here as well. So that kind of is a mystery then. So let's get the multimeter out. And on every board, you got to kind of figure out what's going to be your favorite spot for measuring things like VCC main. So on the iPhone 10, there's not a lot of spots where there's VCC main up on the top of the board where, you know, if you haven't even taken it out of the device, where you kind of still get to it and get a measurement. So, but there is one spot, and let's see, that spot is it's like kind of strangely by these connectors. Yeah, so it's by this connector here. There's a couple of dudes like right there, I think both of these. So let's go ahead and get the multimeter out, and let's go red probe on ground. And we have ground on one side, and this is 0.371. So VCC main on the top side of the board appears to be good. So let's grab the bottom side of the board. Now the bottom side of the board, I'm going to show you on ZXW. So on ZXW, this is the bottom side. This is the Intel bottom board, the RF board. And I've already clicked where is VCC main, or VDD main. All right, so we can see that VDD main. So it's anything around here. So as we kind of get oriented, the first thing I did was I said, hey, there's some spots on the bottom side of the board, like the bottom side of the board. So, you know, hey, let's put our eyeballs on that and check that out first. And I did that, and I dug this up, and no corrosion. I thought that might be cool if there was like a big piece of salt. That would be an easy one to scrape off. So not it on the bottom of the board itself. And so then we're left with these spots here. So there's no visual signs of corrosion on any of this part that you can see, but it gets a little bit tricky. It gets a little bit tricky over here. So it's kind of hard to tell when you're looking at this board view, how does this match up with the actual appearance of the board itself? Let's do this. All right, so as we can't get back out very far, but we can kind of see, all right, there's a connector, and then there's these guys here, and there's the big baseband chip, and then there's these sort of Wi-Fi looking chips, but then there's this giant SIM tray. So this is the SIM tray itself, and then we have these two connectors. So the SIM tray itself, normally the SIM tray is sitting on either nothing or it's sitting on like an ancient, not present, like a debug connector. But let's go over and look at ZXW and see what is under the SIM tray on the iPhone 10. So look here, under this is where the SIM tray is. Yeah, so there's all of this baseband, all these traditional baseband chips are all under the SIM tray. And even like this, XCVR1 chip, like the one, this goes bad a lot. This other one goes bad a lot in the iPhone 7. So that's going to be a real drag if we're going to end up having to operate, because these are all hidden under the SIM tray. Now, as we look, we can see that we actually have a couple of spots of VCC main under the SIM tray. So our first order of business is to find out whether or not we actually have a VCC main short or not here on the bottom board. We've ruled it out of the top board. So let's go ahead and check on that. So we'll find, like a nice place kind of far out over here. Let's see, we'll pick, there's a little square guy, and there's a cap above and below, and we'll take a diode mode reading on that just to check to see if we have a VCC main short or no. All right, so let's go ahead and look at that spot there. Let's see, if you swap the bottom and update to beta 1, it will work. Well, that's what I was going to try. And that was my original plan. And then the internet here sucks. So I have been trying to download it, probably finished, I think. So I've been trying to download beta 1 so that I could do exactly that. That was my original plan. And then I got so impatient with waiting for it to download, like the whole internet, just there was none, and it quit. So then I got so impatient with it. I was like, let's see if it's actually faster to fix the bottom board than to wait for the beta 1 download. But that is what I want to do. So we'll maybe not on this one, but we'll circle back to it to try to get that established as well. So I don't know if your question is, will it work or it will work, but that is definitely what we want to find out. All right. So, but with this one, we'll see, is it faster? Maybe we can actually fix this board. If not, then we'll go for that. All right. So here's these, here's a cap, and it looks like the other thing is actually a coil. So we will go diode mode, and we will put a probe here on ground. All right, and we have our ground side and then our main side. VCC main 0.004. So 0.004. That is a short on VCC main. So now what do we know? We know it's got to be somewhere on this board, and we have exonerated top board. He's okay. Main board, you're fine. Baseband, RF board, you got a problem. And normally VCC main problems are kind of, good problems to have because it's going to be something that we can likely find. So where is the short? And I will show you why I picked this one to take you guys along with to see what we can do. So let's see. What? No internet? Now's the time. You tether with UZTE. What? Huh? Get MetroNet internet. Yeah, we pay $300 a month for internet. For shitty internet. Really sucks. We're in kind of like a rural Mayberry area. All right, so let's look back. So ZXW is going to show us where all of our candidates are. And I already tried to look for this short with heat. So you can kind of see where I put my wire. I picked a spot right here, and a little bit of my wire is left on that VCC main cap. And guess what? When I applied freeze spray, the spot that seemed to get hot was the SIM tray itself. So the SIM tray, and that's kind of what put me onto the SIM tray idea. So SIM tray, what's up with that? So if we look at the SIM tray area, let's kind of cruise over there. SIM tray is sitting right here, and VCC main looks like there are 2 teeny little caps plus a big cap, 2 little caps, and then there's a baseband chip that are right here, and that is located under the SIM tray. So let's put our eyeballs on that and see what does that actually look like. So we're gonna look right here and see, hey, that looks like a place where water could have gone, because there's really doesn't look like there's a ton of water on this board. So let's see if we can peek down there together. All right, so here's the SIM tray itself, and as we stare down in there, all is well. But we want to peek here. We want to look under the SIM tray. Look at the components. Isn't that crazy? The SIM tray sits on top of a bunch of dudes. Now let's peek. Let's imagine that we're a drop of water and see where could we go. Let's look around. Let's look around. And this corner here. Now let's try to see if we can stare down that corner together. Let's flip this a little bit. Aha! All right, now let's see if we can brighten it up for you guys. Brighten, 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 brighten on the camera. All right, look at that. That is green. Do you see that little bunch of salt crystals? Green and corrosion. Uh-huh. 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 All right, see how that is? That looks like a really good candidate. So now we see green corrosion, and at least, that looks like a bad looking dude right there. So hopefully, cross your fingers, we might get lucky on this one. And that cap, which according to ZXW does appear to be on VCC main, we're talking right here in the very butt corner. In the very corner. Here's the corner we were looking at. These 2 caps They're both caps, and they both appear to be on VDD main. All right, so let's see if maybe it's gonna stink if the problem is, it's great. Now water went all under there, and somewhere over here under the sim tray is it killed some other caps. But maybe, just maybe, we can get away with simply knocking off this dude. Maybe he is the problem. All right, let's see. All right. Christy is hammering. All right, you think that's going to be it? Look how tiny that is. It's so super tiny. Man, that is small. All right. Maybe that was it. Or if not, maybe it was the one next to him. All right, let's make sure that's all separated. Okay. And now we're all cut up. Now you know as much as I do. So let's go back and see. All right. Check and see if it was a wire. There is no way that I will be able to get probes on that dude. And he's in another dimension now. Okay, so let's go red probe on ground and let's check. Boo! Boo! Boo. So it's not him. Let's knock off his neighbor, and then if not, we're gonna have to take this stinking sim tray off. Good thing that this is just a data recovery job. Alright, so we'll knock off the adjacent one, which really doesn't look nearly as bad. Not nearly as promising as the first guy. Alright, and then we'll check back and see if that does anything for us. Boo. Nothing's ever easy. Alright, so now, how the heck are we going to get this sim tray off? Let's look at it. Let's bring back this. So we've got to desolder this without bothering, other guys. That's going to be a challenge. How are we going to get this off? My vote is going to be to take advantage of the little anchor through hole spots where it is anchored into the board. And let's start by kind of reflowing them with some low melt to try to make this entire sim tray kind of juicy, because we need to get this tray off without disturbing a whole city. This is like a double-decker bus here. We got to get this tray off. And I haven't ever done that before, so it'll be a ride. All right, let's take that off. Let's see. And maybe somebody else, has anybody else done this before? Seems like the iPhone X isn't as liquid proof as Apple claims. It's really not. In fact, I have seen far more iPhone Xs in here for liquid damage than iPhone 8s. I mean, iPhone 8 itself is holding up pretty well compared to the old iPhone X. So I'm going to use some Chip Quick brand low melt, which is dangerous, but let's see. All right. Everybody's bragging about their amazing internet. Braggy brag. Yep. Mark has had 2 iPhone Xs in for data recovery already. Yeah, exactly. The iPhone X takes great pictures. So if you haven't backed up your stuff, you kind of like really want it. I mean, it's undeniable. I mean, I have an iPhone X and it absolutely takes great pictures. So if you have gone on a vacation, or if you have, taken pictures that you didn't back up, you're gonna want them back. And they have like a monstrous space, so these things can be like 256 gigs. So if you haven't backed them up, you'll have like 5 years of your life. you'll have as we go forward in time, people are gonna have a lot of unbacked up stuff on there just because they're so big. I mean, it is a computer, 256 gigs. That's a lot. That's a lot of, that's going to be, pictures of a kid from birth till age 18. Alrighty. So what I'm doing now is I'm reflowing from the bottom side of the board these joints, which I'm going to assume are what is holding the sim tray itself on the board, what's anchoring it on the board. So now on this side, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm trying to generate a scenario where I can just kind of lift this off the board with minimal effort and not disturbing whatever trolls live below. I gotta get another piece of my chip quick here. All right, let's see. I had the iPhone 10. I did not think it took good pictures. So the Galaxy S9 takes amazing pictures in low light. I think that with the iPhone 10, you have to use all of the special features. That's what kind of makes it take, good pictures. And by good pictures, I just mean it is able to kind of do what a DSLR would do under aperture priority, kind of, isolating the subject from the background. It does that pretty well. You can get a cool picture of faces and stuff like that, with a sort of fuzzy background behind it. Most people think are a good picture. Really need to start up the old fume extractor with these kinds of jobs. All right. Let's come around here on the edge. Never figured out all those features. I like to just hit the picture button. Well, you can do that as well. I mean, I just went on a vacation and I took a lot of pictures with the phone, and then I also brought the cool good camera. But, the thing is, the phone pictures are just so darn convenient. Like, I still haven't, taken the time to actually get the card out of the other camera. It's just a whole big thing to get those pictures off, unless you're a professional. So your everyday pictures, the ones that you're gonna just kind of like take a picture and then post it on Facebook or Instagram. That's pretty good on the iPhone 10. All right, so we're just gonna keep on going around. Now I'm not going to attempt to go in where it's difficult, between this interconnect board and in there. I can't get in there. And you have to be really careful when you use low melt, because it is super easy to cause a splash and a slide, and it is dangerous stuff. So use with extreme caution. All right, so I'm going to go back to the good old school Omnivice. The Omnivice is going to be my board holder for this little iPhone 10 job, where I'm going to try and take this SIM tray off, I suppose. Okay, let's see. What is some janky tweezers that I can sacrifice? I'm just here so I don't get fined. Don't get fined? That sounds a lot like you've got, some boss that's like, you need to watch anything there is on the internet about iPhone 10 or else you're going to have to pay a fine. All right, so let's see. I should change some of this stuff up. Let's do... It would be kind of cool to do a microscope cam. Let's promote that. There we go. Now, can we see that at the same time? Maybe? To see it kind of come off. Where is this? It's probably too hard. That's gonna make it freak out. Okay, so let's see what happens if we try to get this sucker off. iPad Rehab, what's your thoughts about videos being leaked about Apple repair? What do you mean videos being leaked about Apple repair? Apple doesn't do repair. I'd like to see some videos on Apple repair. I don't know. I mean, I don't, that's hard for me to have a problem with because we are so forthcoming with everything that we do. This is somebody's data that we're doing on live stream. So it's hard for me to kind of say, yeah, well, everybody deserves the right to privacy with their intellectual property. I don't think so. I think for repair, if repair is different than other things because you are working on a device that you don't own. So I think it kind of needs to be a little bit more public. Same as surgery. I think that surgery should be fairly public. I don't really think that your surgeon gets to say, I took out your tumor. Don't worry about how I did it. None of your business. That's I've developed my own secret method for taking out tumors, and I'm not going to tell you how to do it because that's my intellectual property. Nah, I don't think you can do that. All right, let's see if we can get any of this to come out. That's gonna be tough. We really only need like this one side of it to come off. All right, I think I'm gonna have to have a little bit more leverage. So let's see. I'm gonna have to shove it in there a little bit differently. So that I can pry. Alright, we'll get some flux up in here. And let's get something more substantial than that pair of tweezers. Let's get something a little bit heavier duty. Maybe this. Maybe this. Somebody's talking about replacing toilet tubes. I'm glad I'm doing this job instead of that. Have to maybe come off in pieces. So that side's fairly loose and pretty much off. It's going to be stuck on there on whatever is actually soldering the sim itself. That's pretty hard. Alright, well, let's see what happens if we just try to get some of that corner up. Just want to peek under this corner, bro. All right, let's take a look on the side. See how well we're doing. It's not underfilled, is it? It can have underfill from underneath. Well, that would be my other option. This whole side is pretty much... No, not my tweezers. Not my crappy tweezers. Shoo. There we go. This whole side was pretty much up, but I just didn't have any way to press down on that at the same time. What I'd like to do is just kind of like not take the whole thing off, but just kind of like peek under there, just right under here. But we might not be able to. That whole joint is broken and it is up. Let's go after that again. Let's go after that with a little bit more of the low melt. Just, you know, trying to be as cautious as possible because I don't really know what the chips are like that are under there. Alrighty. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Everything will come out and you will have to put them all back. No, I don't see me putting anything back. For the most part, baseband, I'm expecting this to be all baseband stuff under here and sim tray stuff. And I don't think we're going to have a need for any of that. Well, you can really feel like I just switched out these new tweezer tips and you can really tell that they are like new and kind of not behaving the same way. Like they're kind of like oxidized a little bit. There we go, bro. Now how about this one? There we go. I'm trying to make a different alloy at each of these joints. Nice little low melt alloy that will want to come right up. But not too much low melt, or I will windshield wiper this whole board. Alrighty. The 10 for data is a fun challenge. Well, I do like the part where, you know, I mean, how many times have you wanted to just take a board and just cut it in half? And then your problem is on one side or the other. I want to do my video on the iOS 12 beta 1 stuff, which was supposed to be this video. But man, oh man, I'm really imploring Apple to just keep signing iOS 12 beta forever, because it's just do that for people's data. Just do that. That's the right thing to do. Or to make it so that the actual iOS 12 doesn't really care about baseband. That's the right thing to do. Okay. All right, let's do this one more time before we have to give up and flip it over to the bottom side. Let's try it. Uno más. Mic camera is almost out of the image. Yeah, we changed it up to be able to do them both at the same time. So we just moved that, which, you know, we'll stick it back. All right. I don't think it's that useful right now. Where is it? Microphone camera. Minus. All right, let's see what happens. Should we charge for iOS 12 update for data? Well, that is a very good question. What do you guys think? Let's hear what you guys say. I think there's a difference between, you know, it's not iOS 12. It's iOS 12 beta 1. So it's hard to find. So I think there's a difference between, you know, having to go out of your way and do actual work that not everyone can do versus just, you know, I think there's a difference between just update and you're fine. That's not data recovery. That's friendly advice. That's the same kind of order of magnitude of, you know, cleaning out the charge portlet. You know, I don't think that in general it's not good practice to do the let me clean the belly button lint out of your charge port and charge you, you know, a couple $100. You know, that's not good. All right, there we go. Crack that oyster. So I would say that if it comes to pass that iOS 12, when released, will cure any kind of baseband problem that is preventing your phone from booting, then I would advocate for advising customers that that's something that they could do themselves pretty readily. And then if they want you to do it, then you could charge for them to do it. But you just never want to create a situation where someone is going to find out later that something was, you know, a lot more straightforward than they reasonably thought it would be. So, but on the other hand, if it's something that is, you know, kind of a temporary solution where you have to, you know, come in on the weekend and get these things done because this solution might go away at any time, you know, that's different. That's not belly button lint. I've never driven here after hours for free to help someone clean the lint out of their charge port. If they walk in here and I happen to be here and it's easy enough for free, then I will do that. So I think that it's not unreasonable to charge people for things that require a significant amount of R&D to find out. You know, so if I have to do something like knock off a single cap and it takes me 1 minute, the R&D that it took to know to knock that cap off is significant. So I don't really believe in you charge people for how many, you know, $1 per cap. That's not reasonable either. All right, so now we have this off. Let's take a look. All right. Don't charge in silence instead of giving common advice. Yes, it's just kind of the general rule of thumb is just common sense. All right, now here's a party. So back to this repair. We successfully got the SIM tray off. And the SIM tray is largely intact. So that method seems to be pretty good. So if we wanted to, we could probably put it back on and it would probably work because it's largely intact. See all the little feet? So if you know, we wanted to try to make it be a phone again, I would say that method of SIM tray removal is acceptable for the iPhone 10 because look, there were BGA chips under here. Look at that. So when we kind of had that knot come off when it did, and we had to apply bottom heat, then that really, that could make our repair a lot more complex. We're adding variables, because if we're applying bottom heat, then we're going to be heating up these dudes, and we didn't know whether or not there was going to be any underfill. It doesn't look like there's underfill, so we probably could have gotten away with it. This looks like just flux that's in here. Okay, so now we have really good visibility on, this is the corner spot that we saw that tiny speck of corrosion. And this is where we removed the two guys that I could slide tweezers in there and kick off while the sim tray was still on there. So let's refresh our minds about ZXW. So let's see what ZXW has to say. Here we go, ZXW. And ZXW looking in this corner says, aha, on VDD main, those two caps plus these two little caps and this big cap, which happens to be pretty burned up looking, plus the chip itself. Now this is where our attention is called here because A, nothing else looked like it had ever seen water on the board, and B, because heat was kind of coming from the sim tray area, like the cause of the short was under the sim. So that's how we got on this this little line of reasoning. All right, so what's the deal? Gee, do you think that our short is from this big, ugly looking cap there? I'm gonna go with maybe either that or the wall of corrosion around him. Grody. Ugh. Geez, the other two little caps are destroyed. They are out of there. This looks kind of burned into the board. I feel like just kind of feeling it feels friable. I'm gonna grab a Q-tip. I still wonder if it would have. I now no longer think it would have been that we're on the fast track compared to doing the software solution. Got a raid Mark stash. Let's steal all of Mark's stashes. When Mark's away, we steal his shit. That's the way it goes. All right. Feel bad for Mark. Mark's been getting some rabbit holes while I was on vacation. Poor Marky Mark. Has Mark been fixing a lot of stuff, Christy?
I think so.
Good. I mean, I'm hoping that I'm only hearing about the rabbit holes, but that there's non-rabbit holes that he's getting done, and not
I think this
all
last
rabbit
week
holes.
he's had a lot more going back no fix, but
Yeah.
I think the rest of the month has been pretty good.
Okay, good. Whoa, man, look at this chip. It's disintegrated. That is quite a fire. Yeah, we're probably going to have to take that chip off. Jeez, that's something. All right, so how are we going to get this cap off? Let's have a little bit more contrast. Let's see. Jessa bought a yacht. What? Jessa didn't buy any kind of yacht. Jessa went out on my dad's boat.
Kayak,
Yeah, dad's old boat. my dad's old boat. Dad is a fixer, and he, his boat, whether or not it's going to start is always kind of a fun adventure. Well, that's barely on there. Okay. Now that guy, he doesn't even have enough left to see if he's aware. All right, let's see. Are we also taking off the chip? Let's find out. So much for my tidy little short stream. That was going to be just flicking off that VCC main cap under the sim. But no. All right. And survey says still short. All right. Now here's what's going to suck. It's going to suck when this is an internal to the board short. All right. So next step is we need to get this really disintegrated blackened chip off, but there was a fire. There's fire. There's like friable, damaged, flaking up fiberglass board All right, let's see. It's crazy how you can right-click on a component and it pulls up the schematic on ZXW with a new update. I guess. I can't see. I can't. I mean, that is pretty cool. But, I'm always like a late adopter on updates. Updates scare me. Look at how black this thing is. Man, it sounds pretty good from a teaching perspective. I do really, really think that people need to spend more time looking at schematics instead of ZXW. In the new update, have they made it so that it's not totally totally out of order, like where, you know, iPhone 7 Plus is next to 6, you know, 6, and iPhone 7 Plus screw holes is someplace else? Whoa, that's crispy. Look at that crispy chip. Crispy, crispy, crispy chip. Now these guys don't tend to fail in a way where they become short, but I don't know, that's like welding right there. Okay, so let's clean this up and see how deep this damage is and whether or not we're gonna have to tease apart ground from main or not. All right, let's see. Updates do suck, but it's crazy how they took Paul Daniels' idea. It's not crazy. It is people do what makes business sense to do. So when Paul Daniels told me about that stuff, my stuff was, I'm happy to promote Paul Daniels' software, but my advice was market and promote when you're ready. And that I don't know what the status is on that. But Paul Daniels, anytime you want to talk about what you're doing for your open board view flex or whatever it is going to be, let me know. Because it is profoundly awesome when you can say to, like Troy with Repair Shopper, hey Troy, this is really annoying. Can you fix it? Something like, hey, ZXW, it's not in English. Can you do anything about that? I would be on board with that. All right, so this has definitely been on fire. And let's see if we can clear any kind of mechanical shorts. Well, that's some damage. All right, so we're just trying to guess. That looks like ground, and this looks like fire. Just trying to make sure that we don't have any burned areas where ground is talking to main. Okay, that's the best we can do. Now let's really cross our fingers that this short is gone, because if not, then it's going to be a whole big thing. All right, cross your fingers. Let's see. It's nice to be able to contact the developer. Yes, it is. There is much value in that. Okay. All right, so let's get a probe over here on some kind of a ground. All right, survey says, woo, 0.298. Yay. So that is pretty close to normal. I still think that's a little low. I think normal on the iPhone 10 is maybe 0.37 on the top side, and I thought maybe 0.31. Not really sure. All right, so that, at least in theory, has solved our VCC main short, which according to how good this board looks, it is definitely worth a shot on, hey, can we make this boot up? So let's try it. So now, if you guys missed my earlier stream, we are going to try to boot it using the eye socket. Now, for you guys that are hanging in with the kind of longer repair, I did try the red one, and I didn't like it. I didn't like it nearly as much as the eye socket one. So the Mijang one, it boot looped for me a few times, so I was not a fan. Although it in the end, it was usable. So we're gonna eye socket this together, and grab the iPhone 10 screen, which we're using the screen extenders, which we found in our last stream are really, really super helpful for iPhone 10 using any of these jigs. You know, the native screen wasn't meant to kind of go through that big fat fake interconnect board. All right, so we've got the digitizer plugged in, then we'll put this on. All right, so that's all snapped down. We'll connect the screen here. We will connect a charge port so that we can prompt to boot. We will connect an iPhone 10 squid. There he is. What do you think's going to happen? Are those pins going to last on that device? Well, that's one of the... I'll show you guys the other one, whether or not this boots. But I like these pins. They're really simple. And I don't know if they're going to last or not. But they seem like kind of like watch pins almost. All right, let's get a prompt to boot from USB. All right, I see it moving up here on DC power supply, and I see an Apple logo, which is more than we had before, because before we had a big old short. So let's see, it'll either boot or not. Not fun taking apart, as what you said before, not fun putting back together. What are you talking about? What's not fun to take apart? Other than water damage, have you found any unusual failure worthy of a signature failure on the 10? No, not yet anyway. So I haven't. We are seeing, it's the season of water damage though. So right now what we're going to be seeing are people calling with 4th of July, went on a boat trip, you know, kind of phones. All right, this, according to DC power supply, still appears to be booting. Yay! So we got it to boot. All right. I'm going to, this question of touch, I think that has come up before. So whether or not it has touch is going to be a question mark. We might have to go troubleshoot that. All right, but there you go. So that one is booted. This may be a signature fault, because this screen I know works for touch, and I would expect for it to appear disconnected, which it does, like it comes off sometimes. Maybe that's not connected very well. But there may be something up with touch. Not sure. That's pretty cool. So there we have the eye socket working. So yay. I am gonna just see if I can reconnect the screen and see if that was just a poor connection so that we can get it actually recovered. Because touch is a bottom board function. The touch connector is down there. So we've got to be able to communicate from the bottom board to the top board. So it may be something just like, hey, it needs to go through ultrasonic because there's flux that may be making it so that it can't have touch. I don't know. I just think I think I heard a report where somebody was had some kind of a touch problem on the bottom board. So if that ends up being a signature problem, maybe it is, then we would really want to pursue, hey, can you kind of just keep around a known good bottom board and then just update? Yeah, this is really tight. Look at how this... That's silly, the wrong one. Ah! With inside this eye socket, see how difficult it would be to make that connection down there for touch? This is the touch connector. All right, let's pop this off and try that again. It's also possible that this thing's just getting janky. I don't know. But like everything, it's time for rule number 1, which is you don't have a board problem until you know that you don't have a parts problem. So let's get this in here. Anybody else had any touch problems? The circuitry is very touchy. Maybe the extension cable is faulty. Yeah, I mean, I would, if this doesn't work, then my next step would be, you know, kind of, yeah, I mean, look at the cable. It looks like it like pushed it there and there. That's almost certainly what it is. Let's see what happens if I try it once without the cable, without the extenders. You know what? This one, I'm gonna really throw that other one under the bus. The other one, you have to really jankify your connectors in order to get it to work. Let's see. I'm gonna be really pissed if the screen gets damaged from all this monkeying around here. All right, so I've ditched the screen connector, which these things I think are going to be really useful because these screens are just super expensive. I have not tried to do data recovery with the backlight screens. I don't know if any of you guys have, if anybody has any comment on that. I almost wish I could just hold it down with my fingers. Yeah, I don't like this without the screen extenders. Let me show you guys what we're dealing with here. Because you saw how tight it is to... I'm gonna be pissed if it fucks the screen up. I'll tell you that. Like this. I do not like this. Yay. See how it has to kind of bend around that? I don't like that. I I don't like that at all. Ah! Oh man, there we go. Okay. Let's get this on. Yeah, we're just now starting to see just the first cases of the iPhone 8s. I think there's an 8 here for data. I don't know what's up with that one yet. I haven't looked at that at all. But we've had maybe 2 8s that have charging disease. Now that's a little bit different. The gas gauge is a little bit different in the 8. I made a post about that, I think, on iPad Rehab Forum. All right. All right, I just want to see whether or not this has... if this got falsely accused of having a problem with touch or not. And then we'll be done with this one. I've had a lot of phones, never broken any of them, and never had any issues. Well, good for you, Rich. Great job. Way to take care of your shit, Rich. Fantastic. You're an excellent human being. You should be very proud. All right, so let's see if we have touch or not. Crazy what they're charging for the iPhone 10 screens. See, now this is boot looping, which means that it's not really making a good connection on the cables. Don't boot loop, mofo. I feel like holding it down with my fingers. Yep, so boot looping means that's what a device is going to do when it really kind of can't hear from its baseband, which means that this whole contraption isn't making good connection on some of the pins. So what I'd love for somebody that's not me to do is to start taking those pins out and figure out what pins are really the important ones, because they're not all important. All right, so we've got charge port. Oh, I do not want to mess up this screen. I don't want to mess up the screen. I think I'm gonna have to make this really perfect. That all seems like it should be okay. These pins seem pretty robust. Compared to the other one. I like how these are just a single point. The other ones were more like grabby and tend to kind of get debris in them. All right. So board, interconnect board. It's a little bouncy there. Top main board. Yeah, this one seems way bouncier. In fact, I bet that something from maybe taking off the SIM tray over here or something, maybe is pushing something up, I'm not sure. All right. This is like putting together the same puzzle again and again. And in a few years, we'll all be really good at this puzzle, but not today. easy to forget the repair technicians only see the worst cases, not the hundreds of non-events. Yeah, I mean, you know, like how many times is it still true that in reality the common, you know, the most common way to fix a iPhone problem is just let's try restoring the software. Works. That never happens in my case. Yeah, this was really tough to get that little bit there on the end down. Yeah, that I think I might even get a different screen if this doesn't work. All right, we'll just see whether or not this has touch. If not, then I think we'll just call it an end on this stream. I don't think there's anything left to learn here. This is going to most likely be a just dirt problem. You know, this is going to be a problem of making connection. So it'll be time to clean all this stuff up to get like a really good connection. Well, let's just see if this thing can boot with touch right now, or if we'll have to leave it to be a mystery. Alrighty. Plastic tool for pushing down connectors. No, I do not believe in plastic. I do not believe plastic has any place in iPhone repair. It would be really funny if I still end up having to do the trying to do the update. All right, so it looks like boot looping, and in my not so vast experience with iPhone 10, boot looping means that there's poor connection between the bottom board and the top board. So I had one before when I was using that other adapter guy. That was boot looping. Putting it back in this solved it. So we are dependent upon really nice connection on all of these little dudes. You know, so all of these little like dots, they have to actually touch the little pins and press down and make connection. So I think that with this one, it's time to clean that stuff or tin them over. We've probably got some flux and dirt. It would be really useful to know which ones of these are actually important. All right, so I'm fairly confident that this is just going to be a fairly simple kind of issue with cleaning. So I don't think there's anything. I don't think there's much left to learn here. It was fun, and we're done pretty much. Let's see. Can you file the edge of that tool? Ooh, I wouldn't want to do that. Let's see. So it's not in the way of the connector? Maybe. You mean the bracket? Yeah, filing this. It's really, really thin. I think they already had that idea. Maybe for fun we could try the other one. But I really kind of want to be done with this stream. Let's see. Maybe the Mi Zhang can redeem itself. So here's the other one. This is, I think, the Ming Zhang or Mi Zhang. Now I don't like things that try to start themselves, because to me that is going to eclipse some other stuff. It's probably cheating, but we'll do a little bit of alcohol on here. I really need to figure out which one of these are my other known good screens. cheat. We're going to give the Meijang a little unfair advantage. All right, Jessa, you are great. I will be looking forward to the end of this case, but right now I'm going to go crack a beer because I don't do this. Yes, 2 or 3 of the extension cords would be totally ideal. That is way more useful than I thought it was going to be. That is definitely useful. All right, let's try this one. All right, so here we have this style. I think it's more expensive. It's simpler. I'll show you guys what the pins look like on this one, because these things are a little bit more pricey than you'd think. And they're essentially, you know, you're gonna, if you're gonna do iPhone 10 work, you're gonna need one or the other of them. See how these pins are not just a single dot? And initially I didn't like this one as much because the board, known good board booted right up in the other one, and on this one it gave me trouble. Kind of like this board is giving me trouble right now. But see how the fact that they are not pointed means that, like, in these it's got some crud. Just they're gonna collect crud really easily because they're sort of, you know, grippy. They're like they look like a bunch of, you know, Phillips head screws. All right, so let's try this one. All right, here is bottom board. At least this one is a little bit more clear how it goes together. Bottom board. Interconnect. And then if you want to do touch, this is the one that I think kind of jacked my touch cable to begin with. I'll try it again. Might have to do a little trace repair on that cable. Top board. Let's make it so you can see. Like that really is kind of weird on the cables. Alright, so it's made its little sandwich. This seems a lot, you know, less tight, but who knows. Alright, let's get this down. So I think the way this red one is designed is it wants you to maybe put on a power button and then, I guess, connect it to DC power supply. Of course, they come with, you know, no instructions whatsoever. So we'll see if this can boot like this. It's a lot more difficult to get the battery connector in there. It's like it's not intending for you to put a battery in there. I'm not convinced that that battery is connected at all. But we'll see. We'll see. Yeah, so boot loop. Well, this red one, you know, kind of, you know, it was difficult to get it to not boot loop when I had a known good board. So this one is not my favorite, and the other one I have a lot more confidence in. So the other one, I feel like if it's boot looping in the other one, the problem is going to be that the board itself needs to have the interconnects kind of tinned up, get rid of the flux, maybe some ultrasonic. Well, let's see. Yeah, and that boot looping here may be the jig. I can't differentiate that. Let's see. Yeah, like I don't think I could attach a battery here at all. And you're gonna need to if you wanted to do something like an update. Well, I guess that's on there. I guess that's on there. Let's just try to press down a little bit. That battery, the battery can't attach. Stay down there, battery. Are you on there? All right, stay on there, battery. You have to sit there and hold it. Yeah, boot loop. Okay, we're done. Let's see. Solder all the pads with new solder. It will work. Yeah, I'm really confident that this is going to be recoverable. It's just really fun to kind of prove that on stream, but I don't think that we really need to do that. I will let you know how many pictures we get off of this board, or if it really does have some kind of a touch problem, which I doubt. I think it has a need for ultrasonic. Alrighty, so that was a fun one for iPhone 10, and I'm gonna continue to make a couple of short videos on basic strategies for how you work with these things using these little doohickeys that you have to use for troubleshooting, and we'll keep working together to see what kind of signature problems we do find out. So that is all for this live stream.